More choices, more topics, more shows. One station. Alternative Talk, 1150 AM.
All right, welcome back to Success Mashup Radio. And I'm here with Dennis Hamon, owner of Gene Johnson Plumbing and Heating. He's a second-generation owner of Gene Johnson Plumbing and Heating, a family-owned residential plumbing and heating company that's been serving Greater Seattle for over 36 years, I believe, since 1976. And Gene Johnson Plumbing was first certified a green plumbing company in the Northwest and installed the first legal, fully automated residential rainwater system in King County, which is pretty cool. They've been nominated for the Better Business Bureau Business of the Year and won a National Plumbing Industry Award for Employee Satisfaction. These guys have been around for a long time, know what they're doing. I think they know how to really gain customers' trust. I've talked about that in a lot of previous episodes, and just by talking with Dennis and looking through their website, and I have a feeling that they've figured out how to do that part of it. And I like that they're doing some education-based marketing stuff too, so they can help people be more educated. So Dennis, tell me. I got the first question I have for you is probably one of the most asked questions: is what's really the best way to plug a toilet or unclog a toilet?
Really, the best way is, the simple way is to use a plunger, and a lot of people don't actually know how to use it very well.
That's the key, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but knowing how to use that is really key. But nowadays, with the high efficiency toilets, a plugged toilet really ought to be a thing of the past.
Gotcha.
So the new high efficiency toilets work great, hardly ever plug.
Yeah, I just know. So I've got some friends that they're plumbers, and they used to always. And this hasn't been a while. They used to always tell me how many calls are just to plug toilet, and it's just like they teach them how to use it.
Well, especially when the low flow toilets first came out, they weren't really designed well, and they didn't work well.
Yeah,
but that's really a thing of the past.
Yep. Yeah, I used to have employees at an old business. I used to always get calls saying we need a plumber. The toilet's plugged, but I just had to get out there and do it myself.
Exactly.
So, all right. So tell me, I guess when it comes to plumbing and when it comes to your home, what are some of the most common problems that people really do have at their homes and maybe that they can actually taking care of themselves? And some of the biggest mistakes people are making that you guys see that they may be able to overcome without having to necessarily call a plumber.
Sure. A big call is just a clogged drain in a bathroom or a shower or a sink, and oftentimes it's just hair, and it creeps up on you. You use it for years and years and years, and then you start noticing it's getting slow, and then all of a sudden it plugs up, and you think it's a big deal, and it's just hair over a long period of time has backed up, and actually that's a very simple fix.
Gotcha. Okay. And so tell me, I guess, a little bit about if somebody was to they have a house with a nice landscaping house, and they're looking out the back window, and they've got trees everywhere, and they've got a great garden. And is there a typical maybe a problem that could be arising that they might not know about when it comes to like their sewer or something?
Absolutely, good question.
It could turn into an emergency.
Absolutely,
a big costly one maybe or something.
Yes, absolutely. Sounds like you've got experience in this.
Well, no, not personally, but I've heard of those types of stories. Yeah.
Sure. So what happens is a lot of people take their sewers and their plumbing in general for granted. People don't even think about it. Water comes out, water goes away, and that's the end of it. But a lot of these sewers around Seattle are old, 60, 70, 80, 100 years old. They were made out of concrete or clay and 2-foot sections hooked together. And those are going bad. And just like you see a sidewalk that's all buckled and has cracks in it, you see roots. That's the key, is the roots. And the roots they dig down there, and they start to cause problems with the sewer. And it's very slow, and it takes a long time. But when it starts to, once the roots get into that sewer and break that sewer, just like they break a sidewalk, now they've got a great food source, and those roots go after that sewer, and they will just stop it right up.
Gotcha. Okay. So before we I want to get into a couple questions too about you guys specialize in heating and in plumbing. I want a couple questions about water heaters and some of those types of things. But
sure.
But first, tell me some of the most also the most common mistakes that people might make with their kitchen appliances and stuff like that end up causing problems, and then also actually go ahead and touch on that if you won't mind.
I think probably the saddest thing is people save up to redo their kitchen, and they buy beautiful cabinets. They spend all the time figuring out what kind of cabinet finish and what kind of cabinet and the marble countertops and all that. And no one ever mentioned the old galvanized, rusted plumbing, water pipes in the back of the walls. And so I can't tell you how many times we've come in to a house that's just been completely remodeled and serious issues that we have to open up walls
You
to
got to
get to.
get all the way into it and rip everything else out that they just put together and just remodeled.
Start over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody was gonna, when they do have an emergency, I guess most people what they probably do is they just go to Google and they search. But I mean, is there a way to be prepared, or is there certain circumstances where it's much better just to call a plumber instead of trying to sit there and figure it out for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours? Or what would you recommend to somebody?
Simple rules. If you have to go buy tools to do the work, maybe you ought to call a professional. If you've already have the tools and you've got the time, maybe it's a good time to try it yourself. But oftentimes it's not just one visit; it's 3 or 4 or 5 visits to the hardware store to get things. Because what happens is you take the toilet up. A simple toilet replacement is really simple, but when you take the toilet up and find old broken flange or lead flange or something like that, you've just dug into a big thing that you've got a lot of pressure to fix because you need to use that toilet that night.
Right.
So if you need to buy the tools, you maybe just ought to hire someone and get it done.
Gotcha. Yep, I understand that one too. I've been to Home Depot a few times and wishing that I just would have hired somebody else. And a lot of times it is difficult. I mean, like I said, I have a couple friends that are plumbers, and over the years has helped fix things that I thought was going to be something. Oh, he's a plumber, no big deal. He'll be able to come over and fix it in a half hour. Next thing you know, he's there for a while, and I was thinking, there's no way I could have done this. If I would have, it would have ruined my week.
We get so many calls that people say, "Oh, it's just a 5-minute fix."
You do?
Yeah, and it never is.
And that's the key that people need to realize that it's don't. I think that don't sit there and try to worry about it and think about that it's that easy. Just call a plumber, call somebody good, call you guys.
Sure, please.
Okay. So, tell me a little bit about when it comes to saving energy with water, water heaters, water safety. I know when I go back to my water heater that sometimes the water won't be quite hot enough, and I turn it up, but then all of a sudden the next morning I burn myself because it was too hot. Do you have any recommendations for that? Yeah,
it's supposed to be set at 120. That's code, and that's what we're supposed to set it at, is 120.
And they all have temperatures on them typically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we can only turn it to 120. Some people will turn it up like that. One cool thing that a lot of people don't know is you can put a tempering valve on top of that water heater. And so that tempering valve tempers it to 120. You can turn your water heater up to 140, 150, 160, and then the tempering valve mixes some cold water back down to 120. So you can get like 40% more hot water out of your existing water heater by using a tempering valve.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
very inexpensive.
Okay. Now, is that something that anybody could put on together, or would it be best to just have a plumber do it?
I would have a plumber do something like that.
Okay.
It's a fairly simple call.
Okay, gotcha. So they can, and somebody wants to contact you guys for something like that. How do they do that?
Our phone number is 206-789-6610.
Okay.
Our website's GeneJohnsonPlumbing.com.
Gotcha. Okay. So what's the difference between hiring a plumbing operation like you guys, or just kind of a one-man show, or somebody that's doing something on the side, or something like that? Tell me what's the differences. You guys have been doing this for over 30 years.
Sure. Well, there's definitely a place in the market for both.
Okay.
But why I recommend a plumbing company in general is because usually people don't call a plumber unless they have to. It's usually an emergency, and a company usually has enough plumbers on staff to get to you right away and take care of you when you need them. Often a one-man company can do a great job, but can't be there when you need them necessarily. They have to schedule it out.
Gotcha. Okay. Very, very cool. Okay, so do you have any tips? Do you have any tips for anybody to the best way to keep their home flood-free, I guess?
Sure, flood-free. Well, most floods seem to come from backed-up sewers.
Okay.
So maintaining that sewer, whether you have someone come out and snake it and clean it, it's good to get a camera down there and just see if there are any issues.
So there could be some preventive stuff.
Absolutely.
So preventive stuff. So somebody, when they're coming up to the rainy season, or if there is an emergency, what would be the top 3 preventative things that you would recommend somebody doing to prevent a major emergency or just a high cost issue?
Sure, I would. The sewer is probably the biggest concern,
Okay.
in my opinion, and I would snake that and camera that and see if there's any issues, and then jump on it before it jumps on you, so to speak.
Okay.
And then cold water, the freezing is a big deal, and it's really when it's really cold.
Gotcha.
It takes a pretty deep cold to cause frozen pipes, but any pipes along the outside walls or exposed need to be taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I very, very appreciate it. I think you gave us a lot of good tips out there, Dennis. And if anybody wants to actually hire a plumber, if you have any issues, if your drain's starting to slow down, or if you think you might have you might have an issue with your sewer, definitely call Gene Johnson Plumbing. Or obviously, if you do have an emergency, you're going to want to call Gene Johnson Plumbing, or go to their website at genejohnsonplumbing.com. And I think that's about it for now. We're going to be back with Eric and Alex of Can't Stop Moving. Talk about how to prepare for the next big move. Save some money on moving and time. All right, we're back with Success Mashup Radio.